Glory be to Yah as we peer into the eternal mirror, right? And take hold of the ZeGoDie, the Rainbow Ching Oracle dice. Alrighty. I have them already lined up here in correspondence to the chakras. And to adjust that back to where it was. Today is a very special day in correspondence to the ZeGoDie because there's over 34 million different combinations of these dice. And I was able to extract 13 different hexagrams from this single ZeGoDie spread. So this is the most hexagrams that I've been able to find, going from the alpha, the omega, the branching, the growth, branching and growth of the alpha and the omega. And I broke it down today using this chart that I designed, right? Symbolically, I have all the names all around the edges, and then I have the core design in the middle of it, which encodes all the numerology of the various meanings. So super quick cheat sheet that allows me to decipher all this very easily. But won't be getting into this too much today unless someone goes to my Patreon and asks about it and would like for me to dive deeper into this, will have access to this. Otherwise, talk about this today. So we're starting off here, and we're looking at this. I have to get a pointer. And we're starting off here. We got solid, solid, broken, which is wind over broken, broken, solid. So these are basically like mirror images of each other in some ways. So this is number 42, increase. So we begin with an increase. Remember, I had my specific intention today when I was praying and juggling the dice right before I cast them is for the Lord to show me something useful, right? So we're describing the present moment, an increase in faith, maybe. Here I am in my closet praying like Jesus said, right? Not praying actively, talking about the ZeGoDie at this present moment. Always pray in private and secret, wait for you to sell your device. So next, so let's analyze the breakdown of how this goes about. So we start at the root. We're talking about the branching hexagrams and the growth hexagrams. We begin at the root. So the root is giving energy unto the crown, unto the intention. So, but because they're both solid, nothing's going to happen. All right, so now we got emotionality drawing energy from intention. And because they're opposites, they're going to switch. So this is going to become solid, and this is going to become open, right? This fundamentally changes our hexagram. Now we have water over lake. We're supposed to be water over, yeah, water over lake. Confused for a second. Water over lake, inner truth. So we went from increase to inner truth. We could say it's an increase of inner truth, right? When you increase inner truth, what tends to happen? Well, let's continue with our hexagram analysis. Set this to the side for right now. This is drawing energy from intention, but intention's white as already, so nothing's going to happen. This is also drawing energy from intention, but nothing's going to happen. Speech is giving energy to the mind, right? So this is going to flip back over. Boom, bada, bang. And now we have earth over heaven, which is peace. If you increase inner truth, you will experience peace. That's literally what will happen through the meditation practice that I'll be doing right after this. So we continue our journey, right? If we continue our journey going all the way up here to the top, we have this, right? This is now drawing energy from this. So this switched to here. So we got our intention drawing energy from our mind, which then flitches our mind back. The resulting hexagram is mountain over lake, which is decrease. So we had an increase of something, led us to inner truth and peace, and then have a decrease of that same something, right? Now, now these are the branching hexagrams. So the branching hexagrams are the hexagrams determined simply by how the colors are interacting with each other as we go from the root to the top, as we go up the tree hexagram. Now, there's also the growth hexagrams, which what would happen is if you come down here to the bottom, if these were to grow upright, this will be the next one. Boom. Amazingly, all aligned with intention. Lower, right? That would be the next one, which would put this as mountain over heaven, or taming power of the great, right? Taming great power, right? The taming power of great men. What would it take to become a great man? Training, increasing in strength for certain. Now, then the next hexagram that would grow, remember this is like a root and it's being nourished, it's growing up. It would go that. And today, oddly enough, like 4 indigos and 2 yellows, right? So now we have fire over heaven, which is also known as possession in great measure. For surely, if I had the taming power of the great to increase my strength, I'd have a possession of strength in great measure, yeah, right? And then finally, if this growed all the way up, this would turn into this, and the result would be heaven over heaven, the creative, back to square one, perfection. Now I'm going to revert this back to the original hexagrams so that we may decipher the omega hexagram. And here we are again at our original alphagram. Now we calculate the 7th dice, which is a spiritual, and it's looking at, if I remember correctly, it's looking at this one. And it's this, right? So that what that means is that for the omegagram, the starting hexagram is this instead of the previous hexagram. So the result of this is wind over fire, which is also known as gradual progress. So in the same way we discerned the branching hexagrams before, we'll go into this even more. And if we calculate the growth hexagrams of the omega gram, we'll also find that there's even more hexagrams than 13. So calculating this though, we move upward, all right? Energy is given energy to intention. The physical is given energy to intention, but they're both solid, so nothing happens. The emotional aspect is drawing energy from intention, so the emotional becomes nourished and the intention becomes drained. Right? This produces our water, yes, water over heaven, which is called waiting. So we got gradual progress moving into waiting. And then we continue up our hexagram with now this giving energy back to this, up the intention. So this flips back, becomes solid again. Now this turns it back into wind over lake, right? Which is called inner truth. So we're back to inner truth. We got gradual progress, waiting, inner truth. And if I was working on my project later today, that would make sense because that is my plans today. So it's kind of like describing my day before my day transpires. Now, moving upward, this is drawing energy from intention, right? So it's like constantly swapping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Boom. And the result of this is we have lake over lake, which is also known as the joyous. The joyous. And just in case you're wondering, how I do all of this is without switching any of the dice. I write down all of the dots using my imagination and what should change and what shouldn't change. I write down all the dots. That way I don't have to go through this process of flip the dice, draw, flip the dice, draw, etc. So we got the joyous. So we got gradual progress turning into waiting, inner truth, joyous. Makes sense to me, right? Now, continuing upward, this is our speech is fueling, giving energy to our mind, which strengthens the mind, right? Which now we have our thunder over heaven, which is power in great measure, right? If I have that one correctly, which is the power of the great, which is specifically. Now, in the final growth, the branching hexagram here, if we continue our pattern of a trajectory, this is drawing energy from the mind, right? Which produces a lake over lake, right, which is what we just had, right? No, it was the previous one. Let me put that back. I meant to move this one. Changing this one, because this is drawing energy from below to fuel the intention. All right, so that puts us at fire over lake. Fire over lake, which is holding together. And of course, if we do the final growth hexagrams, it has a nourishing root. This will come solid first, resulting in fire over heaven, once more, 14, possession in great measure. And this one will change here, heaven over heaven. So these two growth hexagrams at the end of the omega hexagram are just repetitives of the growth hexagrams at the beginning of the alphagram, which is right here. And there we have it, a full breakdown all the way back to perfect unity. At least 13 hexagrams generated, the most I've been able to generate so far through exploring all of this. Thank you for joining me today. Feel free to join me tomorrow for more insights on how to break these down. Glory be to y'all. And this is my video game mat. Amen.